1 Soniqs weren't a very good team, but day 2 of group stage Soniqs looked like a potentially great team. They ended up picking up some W's. And yeah, there was a 7-4 against IG on Chalet, and they picked up a 6-8 loss to BDS on Coastline, so a very close match indeed. I want to see if Soniqs can keep doing that. They've been banning Thatcher Kite pretty much every single map, so they're hopefully will be following up that pattern for consistency. NiP though, show us the money, the Maverick of the board. That's gonna play a big factor, and now the question for the Thatcher comes in as well. Those are the two most key operators for the map of Clubhouse, which is the map that we are about to enter. Sophia gets picked off instead, leaving the Thatcher open in what I believe is the first time for Soniqs at this entire event. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, I don't have that number, I don't have that data in front of me. Here's another interesting ban. A bandit.
Bandit. So, okay, so this is actually interesting. So the bandit is how you typically want to go about juggling the walls when the Maverick is being banned. That's now taken off the board, and the Kai gets followed up as well, which means the only form of deny for the defenders will be the mute. And the Thatcher is open. So this is actually, with a very high potential, going to be an attacker-favored Clubhouse, as you can shred through any bomb site. There's not going to be that many obstacles for you, and I would say CCTV and Gym are probably going to be your two strongest bomb sites, but NiP does not care about those passable facts. They are just opinions in this point in time. They will go down the basement, but they will bring out the mirror, which I think is a great choice, especially seeing as you can bunker down and sit tight. Valkyrie is open, and the IQ does get shown from Grixer, but chooses to go onto the grenades, which makes perfect sense, seeing as they have no other explosives if he didn't.
Now, what's at stake in this matchup was discussed briefly by other caster pairs and the analysts as well, but why don't we break it down for you for just a second here. Ninjas in Pyjamas undefeated. They have made it into the playoffs. They will play on Friday. BDS are the team currently in second. Ninjas in Pyjamas play them later. BDS has never been able to beat Ninjas in Pyjamas, so assuming that BDS loses that one, their matchup against Invictus is a must-win. Now, Invictus is 0 points. They have not looked like a strong team, and BDS should be able to cut through them like a knife through butter, a hot knife through butter even. It can be dull, it can be a cold knife, and they'll probably still cut through the butter of Invictus. Which means that if BDS wins in regulation, it doesn't matter what the Soniqs do, they're out. Because at this point, the Soniqs come into today with 4 points on the board. 4 points. They need all of the 6 that are remaining in order to get 10 points to jump over top of BDS.
Yep.
If BDS gets 3 points, or because BDS has the tiebreaker over the Soniqs, if BDS goes to overtime and wins against Invictus, that is still enough as well. BDS must lose against Invictus in order for something here to happen for the Soniqs. And hey, what is this? Okay, Kansan gets the first kill, but that is a big brain play that we just saw happen from Kamikaze.
Oh, I love that construction wall. You can make so many shenanigans happen, especially towards the roof, which normally attackers, they're safe up there, especially on that rappel, but that will be changed this time around. Grixer gets shot in the back, and that's a nice pick for NiP to bring it back to an even man count. Early aggression and early roam from them, jammers up above. We've seen this many times before. We call this the SSG roam. However, it's not as hard committed as typically. There is no Mussy, there is no castle. It'll just be a mini version of that, but it'll do a lot of damage, especially on that timer.
We're already halfway through the round now. Looking downstairs as defense, Mira is available for both teams, and she will likely have a high presence and a high pick rate in this matchup.
Yeah, the mirror is gonna be one of your key elements for some of these bomb sites, just because you don't have many other win conditions outside of that. Of course, with the Maverick being gone, breaching certain walls will be hard, you think, but we have this very unique situation where the Bandit and the Kaid are both banned while the Thatcher is left open. So, as I said earlier, I do think this plays in the hands of the attackers, but it all comes down to execution, which Clubhouse as a map is typically all about regardless of the operator bans. You have the tools in your arsenal to deal with pretty much every single bomb set, but you gotta do it the right way, otherwise you're not gonna win.
So SQ obviously didn't like what they were thinking, so they'll change some things around. And now the assault begins on the bottom floor bomb site. They're down Grixer, so those grenades that you talked about were removed. Gone 6 also unavailable. And they'll look longingly towards the basement bomb site. Ninjas in Pyjamas have only given up the Malusi. Nothing really terrible. Mute Jammer stopping those X-Kairos from going off on the Black Mirror as we now get toward the final moments of this round, and it's incumbent upon the Soniqs to be quick enough to get in and do some damage. Right now, they don't really know where they're going to go. Assault that church wall, but you haven't been able to open it up. Pino's Nitro Cell connects on Moto, but Super's in. Sidearm out. He needs to plant, but he doesn't know if he's good to do it. Kamikaze coming in, and he'll be able to take out Super. No! The sidearm master! Rexon needs to stop Pino. Pino's all by his own, but where are you looking? They had no idea, and it's very easy for NiP to collect onto Super. A valiant effort from the IGL, but it doesn't go anywhere near far enough.
Super pick up some kills with that 5.7 pistol in hand. I actually do like what Soniqs are doing towards the back end of the round, but not the beginning of that execute. I don't think there's any reason to drop that motor hatch, go down to the bottom main stairs, open up the wall in back B where Super entered from, and just get in. You can keep a man above on the vertical holes, holding the mirror window and holding the motor flank, and that flank was crucial as both the last 2 remaining players of NiP came from that direction. Sure, Super made work of the first person, but the second one ended up finishing the round in favor of the opposing team, which of course Soniqs would have liked it to go the other way around. So it seemed a bit indecisive, it was a bit rushed, they were low on time, and that was due to the early roam game from NiP doing a good job at stalling it out and making Soniqs work really hard for that execute.
Making them work for every single kill, and well, Super's 2-0 tally is, I kind of surprised. He must have been downed, by the way, which is what would have stopped him. Either that or he got off at the last second because the kill didn't actually come out. So, I mean, close enough, I suppose, but either way, the Soniqs forfeit the round. The next defense from Ninjas in Pyjamas goes to the bomb site upstairs in gym and bedroom. This is widely seen by most teams as the tertiary bomb site, the third bomb site. It is not always a go-to. So the fact that NiP is going here on their second defensive attempt is quite telling.
Yeah, I think this definitely speaks into the point of the operator bans. When you don't have the bandit and the kite is off the board, the thatcher is open, the only way to stop that server wall from going kaboom in the first 10 seconds is a single mute jammer, and that single mute jammer will be met with multiple EMPs if needed. Hopefully only one should be required. So I actually like this gym pick from NiP. You understand the operator situation at hand, and I also do think it's nice that they're not bringing the mirror, as you tend to just play really passive behind them, and we've seen so many grenade kills from below in other games this tournament so far, just eliminating those players, and it's basically just a free kill. So NiP working with the map control and the movement that will allow them to seek out the gunfights that they want.
And that jacuzzi wall's already been opened up. Super taking charge here in this matchup, as now the CCTV wall will be opened as well. Allows for smoother sailing from the attackers to be able to get on in. Are we about to see a repeat, by the way? Checking that jacuzzi balk is Pino with the ACOG on the TCSG. Ninjas in Pyjamas very narrowly won, but they lost, but they almost won a world championship on this map in particular against Space Station in 2020, relying on that TCSG firepower from both Goyo and Kaid. You're only going to see one of them though because Kaid is banned out, but boy oh boy, it is nice to see that re-emerge.
I like this from Soniqs. They've chosen to go for a more direct approach, not wanting to contest the roam clear from NiP. They're gonna open up the wall between the master bedroom and gym. It got shut down, I believe it got shot, but they can still work their way in towards the bathroom angle. There is no jammers available and there is no EMPs left, which means the last summer charge from Yeti should go through and bring them some nice value. It's up for Soniqs now to figure out what do they want to breach. They only have one choice, one option. They do not have any window presence. Psycho's position could be crucial for NiP. If that summer charge goes out, you could swing up, shoot it, and therefore shut down the entire push from Soniqs. They will have to find their way in. It is going to be difficult, and it's going to end up being a split take. Office hatch, there's going to be a guy dropping down that. Two guys on the breach, and the fourth guy should be on the window. That's Rexon going in super quick.
Oh my goodness, and now an opportunity inside of inside of construction. They've got a ping on the Super, and he takes a tiny bit of damage before falling off. Rexon doing cleanup, Kansan dropped, Super attempting the plant yet again. Ninjas in Pyjamas trails in a 2v4, but the objective for the Soniqs is good. Julio swings on out of logistics. He has one. A second unavailable as Yeti is there. A little bit too hard to outduel him on Jacuzzi. Is Yeti good enough for more than one? No. Musi silences him. Diffuser down. Crickster has a good angle on it and a spot as well. Allows them to know that Musi's going to be coming through. But Super, the fragging machine, the genetic freak himself, he takes matters into his own hands. 2 kills in the previous round, almost a plant. A plant this time, and a big kill from him at the end. Puts Soniqs on the board. Both teams tied at 1 apiece.
It's a very good round from Soniqs. It was telegraphed. I spoke about it as the execute went down. They had one guy on that server side holding it so that Rexon could go safely on the windows. One guy was up on the hatch on office that could drop down and create some chaos. And 2 guys from the breach. One of them, of course, Super with that diffuser. And they worked together. The important part of that attack was that Rexon initiated by getting the opening kill onto NiP, which then allowed Soniqs to walk into the building, get gym control, and they made a wise decision. The spot came out from the bulletproof, they got off the plant, and they moved deep into master bedroom, took full map control, and then they planted again. They didn't want to risk the biscuit, which I respect. It was the right choice, and it was a beautifully executed round, I will say, indeed, especially for a North American team.
Oh, you just have to get that in there, don't you?
I mean, it's not my fault, it's not my decision that they are doing what they are doing, but Soniqs looking like the second best North American team in the world. But of course, I will also say that Oxygen did not have all their 5 players, so it's not completely fair to say that.
Absolutely. Like we said, Soniqs, if they want to make it out of this group, their fate is not in their hands. They need BDS to lose in regulation to Invictus. Or, I mean, if BDS makes it into overtime and loses, there is still potential there as well. The thing that cannot happen is BDS cannot accrue 2 points in their matchup. How do you get 2 points? Well, you do it by either winning in overtime or getting 3 by winning in regulation. So that's the win condition right now for BDS to make it.
I'll certainly say, I think for Soniqs here, I don't think they care that much whether this is in their hands or not. I think they want to prove a point. They want to make a statement. There's been a lot of eyes on them as a team, and they want to shut those people up. They want to prove that they are a good team, a worthy team. And speaking of worthy, Gerxer, top 4 all 3 stages of the NAL this year, finds the opening kill onto Pino, breaches the wall and goes back up on the roof to get back with his team.
Julio roaming downstairs, showing off one of the changes that was made to Clubhouse when the 3 maps were tweaked in the most recent seasons. You remember there was light touch-ups,
yep.
3 in particular. Clubhouse was one of them. So, whoo boy. This is a CCTV defense upstairs. Julio still roaming down below as that Mozzie. He's a real pest, if you know what I mean. Psycho watching the breach as the Selmas will go off onto the wall inside of garage, and as the deployable shield goes down, Kamikaze takes a chance to swing out on
3 guys on it. You can't swing that.
I mean, I don't know why he did, but Psycho's next one up, and he loses as well. NiP do not care at all about this. They are probably having a jolly good time. Undefeated. It's still possible that BDS can take first in the group, though it is unlikely. The Soniqs just being fed kills and a flawless is very much on the board. It's just what the doctor ordered, right? We'll see if they can fill the prescription, and
flawless.
They do. A flawless round for the Soniqs. They're up 2-1.
Very nice, and again, this is a similar fashion as to what they were doing yesterday against BDS on Coastline. Soniqs are choosing to opt for a more direct approach. They want to have as many guns in the same direction against the possible aggression from these teams. And when you're playing against NiP, I think it's very, very wise to have multiple people because you're going to need backup. Just look at how NiP swung that server breach once that was opened up. Normally, you would have one guy there, meaning that NiP swinging into that makes sense. It's a 50-50 gunfight. They get 2 of those, and if you know the players of NiP, a 50-50 gunfight is never truly a 50-50 gunfight because they win those. So, Soniqs have 3 guys out there and basically become a, well, 1 in 100 if anything for NiP.
One rarity that we're looking at right now is every single player in the lobby is actually on the board already. 3 rounds of action and nobody will be searching for their first kill. It's been accomplished. At this point, the top-rated player on the Soniqs is none other than Super. himself. We've highlighted his contributions off of the field today. This is one that's happening directly on the field and in the server. He's a good leader that the team is able to bounce off of, and he emboldens and betters those 4 players on his team. While he himself might not be there and active in the fragging department today, he's shown up. I don't know what he ate. I don't know if he had a good breakfast. Maybe he ate his Wheaties. I'm not quite sure. But Super's here, and Super is performing quite well. 4-0. 4th round, by the way, and we are still here on the NiP defense. Down below, they're going to have another attempt at Church. The first time, it was quite successful. The Soniqs got picked off early. They struggled to open up that Church wall. They didn't know how to deal with the denial that was there, and NiP just simply pounced upon it. But if you recall, NiP trailed, but because of the poor coverage of Super as he was trying to get that diffuser down, the Soniqs lost the round.
Yep. It was very close and it was a valiant effort. Now, Soniqs have to make it up. They seem to start off the same way, which tells me they have a plan. Either it's a bait or they're gonna stick with it, but I don't think they're baiting anybody this time around. They want to clear out this map, gain the control, maybe find a kill or 2 of their own. But what matters the most is that sub 30-second execute. Last time it was a bit messy. Things did not go as planned, so this time they will have to dot their I's and cross their T's. But first comes the unclear. Musi making rotations, moving back around. Psycho with assistance from Blue, and Yeti spots out both players from NiP looking to fall back. Now, the engagement might come out here as Yeti might take the swing. All 3 players from NiP. We spoke about that. Now Yeti gets 10 of it, but he says no, but Pino says yes. Takes out his head, and the opening kill for the first time this match so far goes in favor of NiP, as Soniqs has found all 3 in the previous rounds.
Bit of sloppiness there from Yeti as well to re-engage, knowing that he didn't have the perspective advantage with the way that you are on that rappel. Your body is going to show up through that open panel, which the defenders will see before your line of sight then emerges. Yeti knows this. He's an experienced player. That's a bit of a rookie mistake. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he thought that they had been chased away, but I don't think he was expecting 3 players to be there either, so.
Perspective, it really matters how you hold the angle, whether you're close to the wall or far away, especially because in Siege, you can lean. Default keybinds are Q and E on your keyboard. Of course, some people use the mouse. Those people we call freaks. Normal people, smart people like myself, and hopefully Parker as well.
I lean on my mouse. So does Gio. So does Gio on
Gio isn't even here. That he will not defend you, he will not have to get a word in this discussion, but Grixer will get a word to his team that there is a mute creeping around inside of Church. I think SSG should opt for a kitchen hatch scenario, all that soft wall and back B, because this mirror window is going to be trouble. They have the EMPs, the Selma charge comes out, they're gonna get rid of it. C4 from Pino might hit the mark, or it might just miss. He chooses to wait. It's not his opportunity yet, but if he finds the right moment, he could find a lot for his money.
30 seconds left, Nick, with 9 players still alive in this server. And again, the Soniqs are going to run headfirst into this brick wall, slowly chipping away at the utility from Ninjas in Pyjamas. But man, oh man, there is no tension right now. There is absolutely no hurry. Pino feeds his bullets right into Grixer. Super picks up kill number 5, but not more than that as Julio swats him away. Diffuser surrendered, but there's way too many angles to look at. Kill holes aplenty. Rexon good enough for 1 onto Julio. He's going to stat pad, but add a loss and a death to that as well. Well, that's it for this bomb site. They won't be going back down there. Church goes twice on this defense in favor of Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, I think we can add another reason as to why he's called Super, because if anything, he's like Superman. He's like dodging bullets. That shotgun point blank didn't even take him out, although it did do a fair bit of damage. Sonic in that late round basement attack is struggling to find the openings. They tried this time around with more time on their hands. They cleared the jammer, they cleared the mirror window, but once that happened, it kind of stalled out. Pino hit close on the breach, swung out and killed Yeti, and it was a nightmare there from forward. I do think, again and again and again, I think it's so hard to challenge Church, especially if you're low on time. There are so many corners, so many power positions, and they're not running a whole lot of grenades because they choose to bring the IQ, which is a good idea looking at the operator lineup from NiP, but you just have less tools to work with for these power positions.
This is a bar stock defense, by the way. All 4 bomb sites now being played by Ninjas in Pyjamas, and this is an intriguing one. The couple times that we've seen teams attempt bar stock, it has not been particularly fruitful for the defenders. But some small changes to this map, like we said, make it easier to potentially defend. We'll see if NiP has what it takes. They are a crafty team, they are a strong team in the strategic department, and I would argue even stronger in the shooting one. Both of those will work very well on any bomb site, but sometimes things are just indefensible, and sometimes bomb sites cannot be defended as well. Ninja in Pyjamas will roll the dice on this one. We'll see if the Soniqs are crafty enough on their own to be able to pull off a successful attack.
I think this bomb site suits a team like NiP. It is arguably a little bit less strat oriented because it's not all about the walls and the breaches. It's actually a lot about defenders extending out on the map, and you see this from NiP. They're going up above and they're also spreading out down below. And once Soniqs, they take the top floor, they will just move back down, assuming that they don't get killed, of course, and then spread out into the strip side area, the stock side area, and then all of a sudden, Soniqs have to clear a whole nother floor afterwards. And there's no real way to do over a direct attack because you would need the kitchen hallway, the strip side. You can't just walk into one breach in Jacuzzi or one breach in server, like we saw on the Soniqs' 2 successful attacks so far. So they will need to actually contest with this, whether they like it or not.
EMP going off as the mute jammer on Jacuzzi wall has been disabled for a moment. And now Grixer will hunt for more electronics from above. The EMP that we used to see on Clubhouse way back, as strong as it was, you just drop it on the roof, it blows up the electronics for good. But now you can't do that anymore because it only disables these gadgets for a temporary period of time, and then you need to act upon it. So hopefully the IQ works out in their favor in that regard. Julio loves playing down by the bar, and he's going to be there yet again down below. But on the bomb site, still most of NiP are invested in a roam off. Some on that top floor, which is what Soniqs are trying to clear out now with half the round to go.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult because if this was a bomb defense, or a gym defense rather, once you get this wall open, you feel pretty good about yourself, but it is a bar, so there's a minute left and they still have only really gotten to Jacuzzi. They have not been in this position yet for the side of Soniqs, and, well, we have been here once before. That is the opening kill for NiP. Psycho takes out Yeti. He's the second time that he's fallen first, I believe, but besides that point, Rexen finds Julio as well, so now perhaps we'll see some swings and execute coming through, or at least a fight here for Grixer.
Rexen, also known as Richie, has been an absolute standout performer for the Soniqs. Sometimes it takes him a little bit longer to find his footing. Grixer has also been a standout performer. Musi knows that he's positioned up right there. A run out from Psycho does not net much. That Valkyrie on Psycho is such an iconic operator for Ninjas in Pyjamas. You might fondly recall the amount of times Psycho's name was shouted the last time he played Valkyrie at an international event, or one of the last times. Smoke gets tossed out now with 20 seconds left. No real urgency from Soniqs yet again. They do some damage to Kamikaze, whose yokais might still be up and very much in play. Super knows where he wants to plant, and there's still a default cam up, but he's wary of the player on main stairs. And oh, he swings! Super is an absolute gunner right now. Through the wall, down goes Super, cans and falls, and there's no recovery onto that diffuser, even if Rexen is still alive. It's 2 in a row on bar stock. Works out for the defenders of NiP.
A deadly red ping through the wall to close out the round for NiP, but Super doing all the dirty duties. Interfragging, shooting the default camera, running through the map, getting sprayed through the smoke, shot from the main stairs, and even finds the echo behind the bar, and somehow Super still comes out on top. He is doing every single role simultaneously, and it's actually quite impressive. 3-2 for NiP as we're gonna go back upstairs to Gym. So, you know, Soniqs basically attacked Gym bomb site, or so it looked like for a brief moment, until they just went to go down below in the strip and go for a pool table clear. They were missing out that kitchen hallway control, and it punched them right back.
Well, you talked about how the Kaid ban is going to influence which bomb sites can get played out. Kaid is also a very pivotal operator when you look at bottom floor bomb site, Nick. And yet Church went in favor of Ninjas in Pyjamas twice, so even without the Kaid, they were still able to hold steady on it. The walls without the Electric Claws are far more susceptible for two reasons. Number one, Thatcher being unbanned, but also the fact that the Mute Jammers have been changed out. There's a very good reason why the Soniqs banned Bandit, and that's because they want to get those damn pesky walls open. And they've been doing a remarkable job of it. The pacing of the Soniqs to open up the walls where you need to apply pressure has been phenomenal. And despite the scoreline, this really is anybody's game. The Soniqs could have quite easily taken Bar and also could have conceivably taken one of those Church takes had things gone a little bit better for them, especially in terms of Rexon's coverage at the tail end of that very first round. So we'll keep our eye on what changes when we change halves, but we still got a full round to play. And Jim was successful for Soniqs way back. They got the first kill, they got the diffuser down. They looked very strong on this map, or on this bomb site last time.
Certainly agreed, and I think, as you mentioned, the Bandit kind of speaks to the fact that Soniqs, they want to go for these direct takes, and the Bandit stops them in their tracks because of the Maverick ban. If the Maverick was open, that would change things up. You can just Maverick the wall despite the Bandit being present, but the way the ban's played out, this is the case that we're left with. Super opening up both walls, one in the single wall construction and the other on Jacuzzi. There is a bubble maestro camera opposite of that breach, which means Kamikaze and the rest of NiP is going to have a great lot of intel, and they can peel off the Selma charges from Yeti, which I suspect is the reason for that camera.
Speaking of Yeti, the team has played without him for the last two rounds. The last time we saw a good look at a Yeti was the Flawless back in round 3. Yeti died early in rounds 4 and 5, so he needs to stay alive in order for his contributions on this team to be maximized. While Yeti might not be the sexy player on the team, maybe physically, but not in terms of the gameplay in the server, Yeti's role is vitally important, and he is someone who can also frag well if the top 3 of Soniqs aren't playing up to their potential. Right now he's sitting at a 3 and 4.
Yeah, one of the things about Clubhouse is that there's a lot of harmony required between the two hot breachers, so Super and Yeti. You got the close range breach of Thermite and the ranged breach on Yeti in this case. Could be the Ivana, could be the Ace. Of course, here we see the Ace, and of course the Thatcher. So out of 5 players, you have 3 that are super important for the strategical part of the game to breach out those walls, and then you have Grixer with the grenades, or Kansan as they play 2 sets of grenades in this case. So everyone is extremely important for the round to go on. No one can really afford to die, but you also need to work your way inside the building, which causes deaths. But you see the execute, Grixer jumps into construction, and now Yeti will make his way in the breach as well.
Down goes Psycho. Grixer gets that lead-off pick, swings around and pulverizes Julio. Really strong play by the Soniqs to take this up. So Musi, realizing he's at a deficit, he's going to have to swing, but his attention is elsewhere. Pino, wonderful play with the TCSG, gets one, but he doesn't get out of there alive. Kamikaze in on it as well, and now he'll need to clutch out. 1v3 for Kamikaze. Super getting the diffuser down. The 6 and 2 Super, by the way. But unfortunately for Super, you're not going to be able to stat pad. Nothing to go with your cost, and no objective, because guess what? Grixer gets the kill inside of construction. The first half in the books, and Clubhouse is a perfect 3 and 3. It's not usual that we see this map tied.
I want to give a lot of praise to Grixer on that final round. He jumped in through construction window, he found 2 kills, and instead of overstaying his welcome and being aggressive, he dropped down the connector hatch, walked all the way back up the white stairs, and came back into connector. And that's crucial because he could just have been another casualty, as he had no backup from his team. He was only meant to find 1 kill, he managed to find another, and then chose that that is exactly what I needed to do, if not more. I am no longer needed, I can drop down below and keep that man advantage going, and the fear in NiP's head as they don't know his whereabouts. CCTV is where we are headed. When NiP played this bomb site, they did not bring the mirror, but Super wants to say, hey, let's shape up the map a little bit different. And there's many different ways to approach the mirror on this bomb site. The first variation is that you can put them below into lounge. Kinda requires a castle. You see this wall right here into garage. That's something you can do. You would need a castle to help out those angles, so that's not what we're gonna see as there is no castle on the board. All 4 walls in garage being reinforced. So, where do the mirrors go? Well, the catwalk wall is not gonna be it because it was reinforced from the inside, so we can nullify that. On the breach we go! We've seen this a couple of times before, and Kansan has the impacts, Yeti has 1 spare as well. repel, you can then use the mirror window by opening it to deny the breaches that might come through from NiP. So it's almost like a bandit, but it's explosive and it's a little bit safer as you can do it from a distance.
Talking about the tail of the tapes before this round gets underway, that first half, by the way, for Ninjas in Pyjamas, their rotation was to go to church twice, gym bedroom twice, CCTV once, and bar stock once. The bomb sites that they won were church twice and bar stock once. Those top floor bomb sites where we see Kaid and Bandit be so crucial were won by the attackers. No wonder when those pivotal operators were taken out by both NiP and the Soniqs. So I imagine the struggles on that top floor will likely befall Soniqs. They're going to be in tough shape. I don't know how they're going to recover, frankly. Mute is likely going to be a mainstay on most of these defenses. They haven't run with it this time. You noted the mirror pick. Somebody's got to go to take that spot, and I think this was the decision to be made. First minute now in play, and, well, the Soniqs are still roaming. I don't know if they know that Yeti's in this position. He knows someone's up there, and it's Kansan to assist. What a play that was. There's still somebody else down there, though, so Yeti's got to be very wary of who could be playing on Repel. Muzi's not too far off, and the Soniqs find the first pick yet again.
That was a nice harmony between Kansan and Yeti. It looked like Yeti was in trouble for a brief moment, but Kansan says, "I got you, buddy," finds the opening, kill into Julio. That is the Thatcher off the board. Now, unfortunately, there is no wall deny, there is no mute from the side of Soniqs, so these EMPs are not technically needed, although they are always nice to have on hand. Muzi with a yellow ping coming out, cooking up that grenade, tosses it, it goes wide, but actually, in fact, the bounce off the wall finds Yeti's booty, and he will fly away. Rexen playing the smoke on the catwalk with the FMG in hand, not something we see very often.
NA actually likes to do this a lot, though. They like to stick different players up there. Bosco's done it a couple times. Rexen falls to Pino, still taking charge, looming large inside of Garage on that catwalk position. 3 players from Soniqs. The last 3 remaining are all in the same spot inside of Cash, and that's a beautiful nade by Psycho to do some significant damage. Kansan and Grixer will look to hold down the fort. Adrenal Surge goes out. Julio's still the only person who's died on NiP's side of things. They haven't got the control that they want of the bomb site, though, and if they try to go through it, Kansan will be there, prepped and waiting. He gets droned out, but he knows that someone is going to aggress because of those spam marks going in. He loses the fight to Pino, as so many people do, and Kamikaze takes out Grixer. Like we said, taking this top floor seems to be easy peasy lemon squeezy for the attackers, and that continues. No team has been successful on defending the top floor thus far on Clubhouse.
Yeah, especially without the mute being played, of course, it is a choice that you can make. But outside of that, I think the crucial part of this round that really went in NiP's way is that they got the catwalk control incredibly easy, with all things considered. 20 seconds before the smoke fell on those rafters, you had Yeti down below in blue, you had the smoke on the catwalk, and all things looked quite alright for Soniqs. They had the man advantage, Thatchers off the board, and as I mentioned, they had good positions. One nade from Muzi changed everything in a span of 10 to 20 seconds, and it made this ripple effect through the round where NiP just took the ground.
I mean, the focus from the smoke as well looked towards the breach and seemed to also be over by construction. Pino didn't really need to sweat all that much, and you said they took control so easily. Pino threw 2 flashbangs up there and then just casually walked up the stairs and suffered really no contest in that engagement, even if they do have the FMG in hand. That's a pretty strong weapon, a deceptively strong weapon, actually, with one of the higher DPSs in the entire game, and yet it did absolutely nothing and will do absolutely nothing if you're looking the wrong way.
Very true, and as you said, very deceiving, because typically people say, the FMG is not that good, you know, it's a nerf and a tank and operator, but statistically speaking, as you said, the DPS, the damage per second throughput of that weapon is actually incredibly high, and not something that you should mess around with, or at the very least, you shouldn't underestimate it. Mute being brought out, that's gonna help them on this extended roam, as they wanna slow down the side of NiP, and one thing that's gonna favor them massively is that there is no Thatcher from NiP, which means these jammers are going to have full effect, and NiP will have to find a different way than just throwing an EMP on the ground, rather. So, whether it be explosive, verticality, or just taking the risk and walking in, outside Valkyrie camera, that's pretty nice indeed. Of course, no IQ either. Soniqs, they did pay respects towards the potential of the Valkyrie, so they ran the IQ most rounds on Grixer, and they made pretty good work of that, I would say, as well, and it's kind of ironic that it's Grixer and the Valkyrie as well. It's like you know where the cameras might be, so you play the IQ, you can work your way around it, but you also know where all the good camera positions are, so when you play that Valkyrie, you can put those exact cameras up too.
Rexon on the roam, and Yeti just falls off. Poor timing, but he's not aware of how close he came to an early pick. And I say early because there's still 2 minutes left in this round. It's been quite slow going at the moment.
There's like no one on site from Soniqs, I don't believe, in this case. Oh, Yeti's just coming down now, but it was pretty bare bones for a moment.
That is really surprising. Really quite surprising given the way that this bomb site gets to be played. How many teams have droned out dirt or have droned out blue and said, oh my god, there's nobody in sight, let's go, let's hit it. Hit it, boys! And then they're down blue and they're down in as quickly as they can. So.
Yep, but you need that information to make that decision, and clearly NiP did not have that piece of info on hand. They even opened up their tunnel, but they almost think there's a guy right next door waiting for them to swing, but there isn't. It's just Yeti down on site.
Still there, by the way, and NiP are being really respectful of this,
but comes down the main stairs and hatch is being opened. However, Soniqs have retrieved back to site. They're reading the situation quite wonderfully.
So there you have it. The only person who's roaming right now is Super. He's 6-3. He's allowed to do that with that stat line, by the way. We bestowed upon him the right to roam as he's hitting all of his shots. The Super Soniqs, as they are right now. Final minute, and as you talked about, those hatches being opened up, the Soniqs realized we've wasted enough time. We held map control for a sufficient amount. Let's get back to the bomb site, because this is when the wave starts to crash into the shore.
Yep. Moosey here might find a freebie of his own hiding at bottom main. Could be a crucial position for him. It is a 5 versus 5 as we're entering the 30-second mark. This almost looks like a Sonic attacks against NiP, because it's gonna be crucial and very difficult, because the jammers on these church walls are gonna stop them from opening it up.
And there's an air jab that goes off as well. I don't know who got knocked over from the Soniqs. Grixer the only one to take some damage on his team. Now Yeti joins too. Smokes will go off, cutting off vision towards the B-bomb, and the grenade from Yeti doesn't connect. The drop from Kamikaze is good. 2 Nitro cells for the trouble. You can't blow up the diffuser, gentlemen. Grixer takes out Super. That's a bit of a mistake. Kansan goes down as well. Musi dropped. Side art out from Julio. He can't run. He's got a lesion mine in his foot, and he knows he's not going anywhere. Pino down 2. An act of desperation inside of Moto. He's unable to kickstart a single thing on the final seconds of that round. And again, these teams are tied up at 4 rounds apiece.
It's a bit of a deja vu. Similar fashion, sub 30 seconds, can't open up what they want to do. NiP opted for that kitchen hatch drop, which I would argue that Sonic should have done. The difference maker here is, however, that Sonics were ready for it. They had 3 people holding the hatch. The dirt door was closed, which is a great idea to do, as the walls and dirt were left soft as well. That way you know if someone's gonna be in there. It was Pino on that Hibane, I believe, so once you open up that door, well, they know his whereabouts. He has to reload before going through, and it kind of disjoints the entire push. Once NiP dropped down the hatch, they got shut down by Yeti. 2 C4s came out and a team kill from Soniqs, but it didn't really matter. They had the stronger positions, and NiP didn't really have a solid way into that bomb site.
It gets chaotic.
It does get very chaotic.
It gets absolutely chaotic. So, as we have seen throughout the course of this match, the bottom floor is money. 3 defenses of Church down below, all 3 successful on behalf of the defenders. The tough point for both of these teams are those 2 top floor bomb sites. I think NiP assessed that pretty early on. I think that's why we saw the bar stock defense. They said with a Bandit and a Kaid off the board, with Thatcher available, defending the 2 top floors, bomb sites will be an utter nightmare. So let's go to bar stock, and maybe, just maybe, we're able to throw them off and win around there, because it's an almost guarantee that we're going to lose the top 2 bomb sites. The Soniqs haven't agreed with that decision just yet, because it's going to be yet another attempt to defend CCTV, and well, how about a good start? Knock the Thatcher out in the first 10 seconds. Nick, you are young enough, but also old enough to remember the early days when kill Thatcher, win round was the literal win condition of early Rainbow Six, and it might just be the win condition for this round. Julio 3 and 8, dramatically underperforming his typical stats, and now no Thatcher for Ninjas in Pyjamas for the remainder of this round.
Yeah, the only reason why that same logic doesn't quite apply here is that back in the day, you'd always run that Bandit, all that Mute, and Soniqs did not bring it, which means, yes, the Thatcher is down and out, but there's nothing to stop them from opening up these walls. Now imagine for a moment that Soniqs Soniqs brought that mute from the basement bomb side up above with them on CCTV. They were in for a great time. But in their defense, I don't think their strategy was, let's spawn peek the Thatcher. It was just one player from Rexen that went for that spawn peek, and it was luckily that he got the Thatcher. So it's still gonna be a troublesome round for Soniqs, but Psycho might just sneak up these stairs. I think Yeti's hurt him. He's at the angle on lockdown, and Yeti finds the freebie of his own. 5 versus 3 now. Map control in hand, and NiP is looking rough.
It's very apparent with the lineup that Ninjas in Pyjamas is bringing that they wanted to put a typical hold onto that CCTV wall, open it up, and have the Nook as the split push. But, I mean, it's very tough to do that when you don't have the Soniqs worried about the main push. You know that unless they go underneath and get any potential denial that might be present, or deal with anything, in this case there is no denial that is here on the Sonic side for the second time in a row on this bomb site, but you know that you're not going to be able to open up those walls as easily. You're not going to be able to take care of all of the gadgetry that's around. And the thing is that while the Soniqs aren't running denial, to great effect they are running the Valkyrie cameras. They always seem to know where Ninjas in Pyjamas are. And I mean, all they know is where Kamikaze is, and he's outside. Kansan wants to go for it, so he gets a little bit kill hungry. Greedy? Maybe. Rexen pops up. That was 2 kills from Richie on that particular spot. This is a close one. 5-4 now for the Soniqs.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a flawless round in my books. Kansan didn't have the discipline to see it through, but if we look apart from that flawless round from Soniqs, the slow-mo Nuke peeks up the stairs, gets shot by Yeti and shot down. I think you made a good point where there's the main push from one side of server breach. The Nuke can come from behind, but it was read, seen, or heard from Soniqs. Yeti in particular did a great job shutting it down. Imagine that gunfight went a different way.
Living up to the billing. Unfortunately for the Soniqs, despite a hell of a match against NiP, and they are really pulling out all the stops to defeat the defending world champions. It's all for naught because the Soniqs are going home regardless of the result of this matchup. And I don't believe the Soniqs know that, by the way, because they are playing in a separate part of the arena.
Yeah, so 2 things. First of all, I called in our green room with the other talent that it was going to be a 7-1 between BDS and IG. And why, you might ask? Well, every single game today on the B stream, spoiler alert, ... has been a 7-1. I thought BDS can keep that up, and so they did. I agree. I don't think Soniqs knows this fact because there's no way for the coach to get this information while he's behind them on stage, and they're not in this building where they have like a screen showing the live standing. So looking at this match, it changes nothing. Soniqs are fighting for their lives, and even if they knew, I still stand by my point. I think Sonic wants to prove something and make a statement that they are not to be underestimated, and they are going to be maybe possibly sent home, but they're not going to be the worst North American team here. They refuse to take that title, and they want to prove it. 5-4 is they're in the lead on that gym defense, and NiP gonna make swift use of the server breach. Thatcher still being played by Julio, who's, had a rough couple of rounds, died first twice in a row to my memory. Perkser, these cameras are doing so much work. You would almost think NiP would pick up the IQ at some point.
I mean, this is something that we've had issues with NiP in the past. One of the more memorable matches that we casted was all the way back on Coastline, Ninjas in Pyjamas versus FaZe Clan. And what did NiP do? NiP got destroyed by FaZe Clan, 7-0 at SI to send NiP home. And what happened with NiP? They were getting overrun by a Valkyrie, throwing cams outside. FaZe Clan were just eating them alive. And what did NiP never do? They never ran an IQ. Now, as for whether they need an IQ or not, it appears that the Soniqs needed a little bit more than just a Wamai on this one, because the grenade catches Rexen, down he goes. Ninjas in Pyjamas get that very first pick. They've got half of the round to work with at this current moment, and while they're taking their sweet time and not doing too bad of a job of getting this map control on the gym bedroom defense that we see from the Soniqs.
Yeah, and I want to also point out that I said that they should pick up the IQ, but I also want to defend NiP here and any other team that follows that same trend. But Psycho says not yet. Let's take a quick peek first onto Yeti. That is a nice second kill for NiP on this round. Back to my point is that it's very hard to fit the IQ in your lineup because you have to sacrifice something important. The heart breach, the grenades, or the EMPs. Remember, Soniqs didn't really play the Thatcher, so therefore they didn't really need that space in the lineup. They could run the IQ more freely without sacrificing anything crucial. Now, Soniqs with a minute left, down 2 players on this gym. Defense looking kind of rough, and I would say NiP are happy with the time score right now. A minute left to work with is plenty. It's more than they need. Now Soniqs need to find isolated targets off the side of NiP. They need to even back the man score. Otherwise, there's just too many angles to watch and too many things to cover. Super tries to make it happen, but not so super right now as Moosey finds his head. Now Grixer on a mission as well as the last man standing from Soniqs, because Julio is back in the map on this round and finds Kansen. Has to swing to connect the door, does not win the gunfight. Flawless round for NiP, and maybe that timeout was all they needed to bring back the momentum in their favor.
Well, this means that we're going to need every single round to settle the score between these teams. Overtime might still happen. The Soniqs are unaware of oblivion awaiting them once they finish this matchup. I think there's a lot to learn from these international events. The Soniqs got a whole heaping amount of knowledge at the Mexico Major, and I suspect that they're probably doing the same here. Playing up against teams like BDS and Ninjas in Pyjamas could potentially gear up the Soniqs for a better run in the NAL next year when we come back.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Parker.
Yes.
Is the Soniqs qualified for the NAL finals in the near future?
Yes, they are.
In that case, I will say they can take this experience right back to the home where they're about to go back to with their NA near airport plane and perhaps show a more domestic surprise rather than international.
Well, I mean, we've spent so many years talking about the big teams in North America. For a period of time, NA was dominated by that Continuum and Rogue roster that then became Evil Geniuses and Rogue. And there was always Elevate and that Elevate core that would then later become, Reciprocity, or, well, technically that team kind of blew up. So where do they go? What's the spiritual successor to it? That's very much up for debate. But those cores, the core of that roster that you had with Laxing and Skies sticking together for as long as they did, those were the teams we always talked about. Slowly, NA started to get a little bit less top-heavy. But for years, you competed against them. It was almost always that Rogue and CTM team with every now and then flip side. NA has expanded now, and now there are 5 teams in North America that are capable of competing on an international level. Now, I know that the word capable might seem a bit charitable here because NA has performed very poorly at this event, but what I mean is that they are usually topping the region and they can go toe-to-toe, and even if they lose, they can still keep it interesting.
Yeah, Parker, Americans always talk about how free they are, and I never quite understood that as a European myself. But after playing North America for multiple years, I finally understand NA is just so free. This game, however, putting up a great fight, a valiant effort. It's a 5-5 tied score line, but they are back in the basement where they had success the previous time around, but they will need to find success again to take this before we get the match point where they then would have to push it into overtime.
1 minute off the clock now as Julio creeps on up. He sees that proximity alarm, but no more. It was thrown over towards dirt. I don't know if they heard it. It certainly seems like they did. Yet he knows that somebody is there. The jig is up, but where, oh where, are they playing inside of dirt? All those magnets being taken apart, as if you don't use your throwable to get them, you can just simply shoot away at them, and it's quite that easy. The Soniqs are hunkered down on the bomb site that has not yet
looks like the floor is just rappelling down into the bomb site. That's funny.
Okay, you don't need to, all right. You don't need
He's
to...
holding the kitchen hallway, but for a second I was like Sam Fisher style from that helicopter just appearing on side out of nowhere. That would have been crazy.
What
Maybe a future operator.
How does this even happen?
How does this happen?
But no. This bomb site has not betrayed the defenders yet. 3 rounds played on defense thus far, and 3 all going in favor of the team that has been on defense. Can Ninjas in Pyjamas crack that? Match point awaits them. Match point awaits whoever wins this round, frankly. But if NiP are able to buck that trend, which looks very likely with these first 2 kills, then something good can happen, and we can see that streak break. Still a minute to go, and there's some firepower from the Soniqs. Julio softened up, but so is Grixer, as he searches for his 2nd kill. Down from Kamikaze as Rexon finds his marks. 3v3. Julio and Rexon on low HP. Grixer on low HP now as Rexon is punished, vanquished to the Shadow Realm. More work will need to be done from Grixer, but that's it! It's almost a flawless round again for NiP as they find the very first attacking victory on the bottom floor bomb site, and it's match point for the Brazilians.
Yeah, and what looked very tight became very free. No pun intended with the previous statement, but now Soniqs will have to take it into overtime if they want to bring this back around. Again, the points granted to Soniqs. If they were to into overtime, they will get 2 for an overtime win, 1 for an overtime loss. It won't really make a difference. NiP, again, guaranteed for playoffs. They probably don't care too much about the points either, but both teams do want the title of a winner of this match. And we see something different coming out from the side of NiP as they're looking to bring out the Flores. Not something... Oh, I take that back. They're 6ing it away.
They had the Flores in the previous round to open up that dirt tunnel, but it was also the first time that we got to really get a good look
that's
at
actually,
that operator.
that is a true point.
Remember, the Flores was repelling.
Yeah. Oh, he was, yeah. You know, short-term memory, it's like, maybe that's why I retired, because I kept asking the same questions to my teammates. Are like, we just spoke about this. So perhaps I should pay more attention on my own behalf and clock that inside my memory. I will try my very best. So will Soniqs. They're gonna go back up onto CC where, well, there hasn't been much success up here just yet. I don't believe it has been won by either team yet, based off my statistics. So that means that Soniqs have to break that curse to get the first dub, and they're not looking to do much different in terms of lineup. They still don't bring the mute. Yes, the Thatcher's open, but maybe we'll spawn pick him again. Who knows? I imagine similar mirror windows will be placed in Kansen. Now, on the Valkyrie, it's been Grixer, it's been Kansen, it's back and forth, outside cameras. Every single round getting that juicy information, and they will need to work with that. Rexon trying to spawn pick once again. Can he find Julio on that Thatcher? That is the question.
Well, fires away, and then he falls off. Nobody in the line of fire, so say goodbye to that opportunity. And you've given your position away, and that's information as well. They know that somebody's playing inside of Garage.
And we're gonna peekaboo down for the Feetsaroos here on the stock Kennel's door. Psycho about this 51 window. That is one way, by the way, if the bandit was open, you can throw a grenade from that window into the server racks, onto this wall, and destroy the bandit battery, and maybe get a kill. Not needed this time around, as bandit's off the board and banned out by Soniqs, so the wall will get opened up really quickly and swiftly from NiP, and they look like they know what they want.
There goes the wall as well, opening up ever so gently. Not gently when there's explosives involved. Rexon here on Catwalk is going to be the focus for me in particular. If you recall, on the CCTV defense before, NiP did not struggle at all to take that map control. They breezed their way through Garage and then up the Catwalk. And it wasn't Rexon in that position. It was the smoke playing off it with the FMG. If you remember, back turned, looking over the deployable shield. Super with a late mirror window, now understanding where the execute is coming in, and he'll have a good vantage point to look towards Garage.
Yeah, I love that. Keeping one mirror window in your pocket. We spoke about them in one of the previous matches where you can put down the first one, but keeping that second spare means you can use it with knowledge, knowing where the push will come from. Now it all comes down to Rexon on this catwalk, but I say that, but look at the flank from Yeti. It gets shut down by Psycho. He is there. He wants none of it, and now Rexon is all alone inside of catwalk rafters, and he will need to go absolutely huge for Soniqs if he wants to save this round.
Well, Yeti down again. He's been the opening death now on numerous occasions, but it gives NiP a little bit of breathing room, and they will now hit the juice and run in as best they can. Musi sustaining some damage.
Kansen out for the fight here. Musi wants none of that gunfight play. Gets the adrenaline surge in and boosts up the rest of NiP. Pino takes danger. Super shuts it down. Refract coming in from Soniqs, but it's still dire. They need more help. Grooks is on the way from master bedroom. Second nade from Musi down below. He makes his way back up. 40 seconds left. 4 versus 3. Catwalk is now granted to the side of NiP, but they need more. They need to find the plant, find the kills. 2 C4s left from Soniqs. They can make it happen, but Psycho looking for the explosives. Finds Super from down below. That is one of the 2 C4s off the board. Now, Grooks are looking for a vantage point. Wants to find a kill. They need the man count to be even back down. 1 C4 left from Kansen. It gets tossed. It goes wide. It misses. Grooks on the floor. Psycho finds the last, and Soniqs will be eliminated. They will be sent home. North America has 1 team left standing, and that is SSG, to no surprise.
Now Ninjas in Pyjamas, still undefeated in regulation, 5-0 for the defending world champions, looking like the best team in this event thus